The appointed hour, I'm going to call the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission monthly meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. We are meeting in the airport conference room and beginning at 4 p.m. So I have to read, this meeting of the Cape Cod Gateway Commission meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, I must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. Not seeing anybody, we shall go to item number 2, roll call.
Chairman Flores?
Here.
Vice Chairman Gio is not here. Clerk Weil?
Here.
Commissioner Beerworth?
Here.
Commissioner Bailey?
Here.
Commissioner DeGeorge is not present. Yarmouth Rep. Christine Greeley?
Here.
We do have a quorum this afternoon.
Okay, item number 3, can we please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, minutes of the previous meetings. This would be the minutes from August 20th, 2024. Those were distributed, correct? Susan?
Yes.
Okay, if everyone has read them, and there are no edits, additions, or deletions, could someone please make a motion to approve these?
A motion to approve the minutes of the August 20th, 2024 meeting is written.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is a vote. Item number 5, public comment. I see one person from the public who is always interested in the airport. Might you want to say anything today? Former chairperson, Griffin.
John Griffin, former commissioner. I got us here. Just a quick thought, with our seasonal scheduled air carriers, who I guess had a very successful year, have departed for the cooler months. We still have quite a passenger flow in non-scheduled and charter and other carriers. They tend to be anonymous, which is just fine for security. But it might be useful if we could get, just on a monthly basis, a head count. Don't need to know what airplane they were on, don't need to know who they are, just how many souls on board coming and going on these other aircraft, to the point that we can get them. Because that's very useful information, I think, and without violating any privacy or security.
Thank you, Griff. That's a good idea. Any other response to Griff's suggestion? Okay, not hearing any, let's go right to item number 7, which is reports from the subcommittee. First report is from Norm Weil, who is chairperson of the Finance Subcommittee.
The Finance Subcommittee met on Tuesday, September 10th via Zoom. We had a late start due to technical difficulties of one of the commissioners trying to get in.
I was not present.
Yeah, I didn't think you were. It was just Commissioners Weil and Geo that were present for the meeting. There was no old business. We had 3 new business items. The first was FIN 0924-1 to review and approve the lease amendment by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and Kingsbury Aviation. I'm not going to go into detail about any of these. I'm just going to read them and then make a preamble. We had FIN 0924-2 to review and approve the fuel pricing agreement by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and AEG Fuels. And the third item was FIN 0924-3, review and approve fuel pricing agreement by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and Everest Fuel Management LLC. We discussed all 3 of those items. We won't go into detail here because they're on the agenda for us to discuss today. We voted, the two of us voted to move them to the full commission for consideration today, and they can be acted upon today. We had a quick update of a couple significant things from the manager, which I know will be covered in this session, and we adjourned at 9:09. It's a very quick meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, next item on the agenda is report on the Infrastructure and Marketing Committee that will be delivered by Commissioner Fairwood.
Yes, the Infrastructure and Marketing Committee met, excuse me, on September 10th at 10:30 in the morning. Commissioner DeGeorge and myself were present. It was a Zoom meeting. There was no unfinished business, and under new business, there was only one item, IN 0924-1, review and discuss website modifications. There are a number of areas of the website that are being modified to make it easier to navigate. Manager Service reviewed the areas which focus mainly on the noise abatement page, the airport information drop-down list, and the contacts list to clean it up and simplifies ease of usage. We requested some additional revisions which are being forwarded to Pierce Cote, and Manager Service will have a draft available for review by the Commission prior to going live on the website. As well, a Google Analytical report of the number of times people click on website links, and a listing of the links by priority was requested to help with the redesign. This report will be provided by Pierce Cote in the future. There was also a discussion on the status of the Pierce Cote option renewal. Mr. Flores commented that if the Finance Subcommittee forwards an agenda items, it should have been fully discussed and vetted prior to moving it forward. Manager Service is verifying that the information currently requested is complete prior to bringing it back to the subcommittee for discussion. We then went through a number of updates which Manager Service will be going through today, so I don't think there's any point in reviewing them separately.
Thank you, Commissioner. And for the sake of our audience that might be watching, I want to just share with them that on a regular monthly basis, Finance Subcommittee and Infrastructure and Marketing committees do meet, and they vet everything that we discuss at our monthly meeting. So we're sure to do all of our review and ask the tough questions and make sure that we get the information that's required before it comes to us as a full commission for any kind of a vote. So I thank everyone for the time that they spend not only on the regular commission meetings but also the subcommittee meetings, because they are critical. And with that being said, I'll go to item number 8, which is old business, of which there is none, which will bring us to item number 9, which is new business. And this is COM 0924-1, approval of the lease agreement by and between the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and Kingsbury Aviation. And Commissioner Wild, could I ask you to make that motion?
Yeah, this is a motion to approve the 64,000 square foot by feet 20-year land lease by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and Kingsbury Aviation, effective August 14th, 2024, with annual increases to reach the current going rate during the first 3 years, and a 3% or CPI increase thereafter. The sponsor is the Finance Subcommittee, and it may be acted on at this meeting.
Have a second, please.
Seconded.
Okay, the item has been, the motion has been made, it's been seconded. Now for some discussion.
Sure. So Kingsbury Aviation has been a tenant of ours for over 10 years. They purchased the 2 hangars that they now lease the land from us for by Sylvia and Sylvia. They wish to continue their leasing of the land and renting their hangar space to airport tenants. A total of 64,000 square feet, as we just mentioned, is the land that's included. It includes 2 separate facilities, 260 and 270 Mary Dunn Way, 2 T hangars. The 20-year lease that I provided to you is identified as the commencement date of August 14th, that has been backdated as we work through some negotiation of some of the details as part of the overall lease development. The lease itself has been updated to match new language requirements, insurance requirements, FAA lease provisions that are required to put in our leases, and to bring the rental rates up to fair market value and consistent with the other tenants on the airfield. So during negotiations, they agreed to the stepped increase. We've done this for other tenants to bring them up to that fair market value. So we agreed upon a 3-year step increase. So year 1, they would see a 12% increase in their existing rate. So that would take them from 39 cents per square foot to 44 cents per square foot for that 64,000 square feet. Year 2, they would see a 15% increase. In year 3, they would see another 15% increase. So that by year 4, they would be implementing fair market value for what is consistent with the rest of the airfield. The airport also now has connection availability to sanitary sewer. When we constructed Mary Dunn Way, it allowed us to put in sanitary sewer lines so they could connect to the town system. We have everyone on that side of the field that is no longer on septic. So we require that within the 3 to 5 years of the commencement date of this lease, that they transition to sanitary sewer, and that's on their dime. So we did add a date that they have to do that by, and that's August 13th of 2029, they have to have that connection. All permits will be on them, and the connection activity will be on them, they will have to pay for it. Are there any commissioner questions or comments?
Okay, now Mary,
Can I just ask, what will be the fair market rate in the 3rd year when you
Yeah.
increase it to 15%?
So it is assumed that by the time we get to year 4, typically our increases are 3% or CPI, whichever is greater. So for these purposes, for this lease, we assumed on year 4 that it would be 60 cents per square foot.
Okay,
But as we roll into year 4, again, that will be based on CPI or 3%, whichever is greater.
okay, thank you.
okay, any other questions, any other issues of concern or discussion? Okay, and the motion's been made and seconded. I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, that is a vote. Okay, next item is COM 0924-2. This is approval of the fuel pricing agreement by and between the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and the AEG Fuels. Commissioner Bailey, would you read that? Would you make that motion, please?
I will. COM 0924-2, motion to approve the annual fuel pricing agreement by and between Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and AEG Fuels effective October 1, 2024 for a minimum purchase of 100,001 gallons of Jet A. Sponsors the Finance Subcommittee, may be acted upon.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made, it's been seconded, and now it's time for discussion. Katie, would you share with us any issues or comments?
AEG Fuel, they're customers of ours already. They, a lot of their aircraft that come in purchase fuel from the airport. They reached out to airport management to get into our discount fuel program and to be part of that program to sign up for those discounts through our existing program that we have in place. They opted to contract with us under the Gold program. We have 3 programs. We have Gold, Silver, and Bronze. The Gold program is the program that allows for the highest discounts because it requires that they sign a contract with us that states what their uplift would be for a 12-month period. If for some reason they do not meet that uplift, if they do not purchase the requisite amount of gallons they say they would, then they have to pay the airport back for the difference. That gives them the highest amount of discount. They signed up for Tier 1 of the Gold program, which is just over 100,001 gallons that they would have to purchase from the airport. So we're excited to have them on board. I think it's great to have an additional. We have now 3 discount fuel programs out there, NetJets, AEG, and Everest, which you'll hear next. I do not have any more to add to this unless you have questions or comments.
Any questions or comments from
Yes,
any
one
commissioners?
question is, have we ever had to go back and bill somebody that didn't meet that? And
Yes.
is there any resistance when that happens?
So NetJets, we ended up billing them in their first year. NetJets has been the longest standing discount fuel client that we've had. In the first year, they did have to pay the airport back. I don't remember, Sue, I don't know if you remember the dollar amount of that, I don't remember off the top of my head. But it was enough that they never did that again. So each year, we've talked to our clients like AEG. We suggested to them, start small, start in the lowest tier until you get a sense of what your tier might be. Because we don't wanna see them lose out and have to pay us either. So they're starting small. Another example is Everest Fuel. Everest Fuel buys about, on average, between 500,000 gallons to 600,000 gallons from us a year. And they're in the program as the tier 4, which is 400,001 gallons that they purchase from us. And they've been pretty consistent going well above that. So yes, to answer your question, one time.
Thank you.
Quick question, who do we buy from World Fuel?
We do, they're our contractor for fuel. Next year, we will need to go back out to bid for fuel services. And that includes the trucks that we lease from them, as well as the contract to provide fuel to us.
Any other questions or issues or concern? Not hearing any, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
It's a vote. Okay, item COM 0924-3. This is approval of the fuel pricing agreement by and between the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and the Everest Fuel Management LLC. Commissioner Bearworth, would you read that motion? Would you make that motion, please?
Certainly. The motion is to approve the annual fuel pricing agreement by and between the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission and Everest Fuel Management LLC, effective October 1st, 2024, for a minimum purchase of 400,001 gallons of Jet A. It's sponsored by the Finance Committee and may be acted upon.
Okay, could I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay, the item has been made, the motion's been made, second, and now for discussion. Katie?
Sure. Everest Fuel Management has contracted with the airport for the last 7 years, which is fantastic. It's a great partnership. We enjoy working with the gentlemen that manage the program. In fact, each year they come out to the airport and they thank our staff, and they usually buy them lunch, thanking them for all of the services that they do throughout the year, which is fantastic. They would like to contract with us under the Tier 4 Gold program. Again, like I said, Tier 4 is at least over 401,000 gallons that they would purchase for us, and on average, they're anywhere between 500 and 600,000 gallons that they purchase. So I don't think we have any issue with them being able to meet that. It's a good partnership. They do receive some great discounts, as well as we receive the activity from their users. That's all I have.
Okay, any other questions from any of the commissioners?
I would just add that Mark Figueroa, who's Vice President of Everest, has been participating in the strategic planning session. He's been a big supporter of the airport. I know all of our clients are ones that we have great relationships with, but he's been very involved in the planning process, and he likes being part of that. He's also a member of the Cape Cod Aero Club, so he has several fingers in our airport community here. So I just wanted to pass that on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Okay, we can take a vote on item COM 0924-3. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Not hearing any. That is a vote. Item number 10 on our agenda is report of special committees. The first one, noise report, we'll be receiving that, I guess, next month.
Next
October. Okay. Item number 2 under special committees is Yarmouth representative comments. Chris, do you have
Yeah, I do. I have some things that have been forwarded to me from Town Hall, in which their questions are being raised about the proposed Project Advisory Committee on the voluntary flight path adjustments, which I know was recommended by the Yarmouth consultant. So the questions that are being raised now is, have you hired a consultant? Where are the plans and the status? They would like to see a scope of work with that, and they want to make sure that there are membership, from Yarmouth on the committee, and that our consultant would also be on it, because they do have very serious concerns about this, and it's going forward.
Sure. Do you want me to respond to that?
Sure,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, so, yes, for the plans and the status, I need to go through the scope of work once again with our team. Airport Solutions Group, who is our on-call planning and engineers, will be overseeing that process. It'll be part of their on-call work.
Mhm.
They are bringing in experts from a company called Aviation.
Aviation?
That has worked on multiple procedural tasks in planning of procedures at airports, so they will be working with us on this. As soon as the scope of work is finalized, I will get that over to the town manager.
Thank you.
I intend, and I would like Ron Price to be part of that process. Ron Price is the consultant that Yarmouth has hired. He has a lot of background in aviation planning. He's a good source, not only for Yarmouth, but for us, to be able to work with him to come up with procedures that make sense. And then as far as members, we haven't identified how the planning advisory committee would be set up, but we would certainly have members from Yarmouth. I would assume, Chris, that you would be part of that team. We've also, will be reaching out to the presidents of the civic associations to make sure that they are privy to that pack as well.
Okay. The second issue, and I know Christine isn't here, had comments from a couple of people about, one was supposedly Sunday, maybe midday. This is a very experienced boat person, navigator, and out in the water all the time, saying that there was an extremely large plane that flew midday from the west in the Hyannisport area over Keys Beach into Stewart Creek, and it almost looked like the plane was going to touch the trees, very loud, very low, and it was kind of frightening in terms of the experience they've had in the past. And that's interesting because I had an experience on Monday at 8:02 with a what appears to be, because I have someone who uses Flight Radar 24 because they're a professional, saying that it looked like it was a Cessna 560 Citation Ultra showing at 149 feet over the house and doing 98 knots. And it was exceedingly loud and awfully low and kind of startling. So whether or not they were the same large plane or whatever was just of real concern. But it got raised by several people. But it's also something I had noted myself. I hadn't seen the one on the water. But just so you know, on those two things.
Did you reach out to Christina as well?
I will. I would have tonight.
Okay, we can provide this information, but she might have additional questions for you.
Yeah, I will contact her when she's around. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
I'll report back to the town hall about your comments. Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is updates. Katie, as manager, would you please
Sure.
update us?
Yep, so again, you've heard this before, Hyannis Hangar LLC is up for sale. The commission would have to approve of the sale since the buyer would have to abide by the existing lease that we have in place with Hyannis Hangar. If you remember correctly, Hyannis Hangar asked that we include their transition from septic to sanitary sewer inside of their lease, which we did. So we want to make sure that we get paid for that from whomever ends up assuming the lease. So that will be back in front of the commission for your approval. The strategic planning subcommittee, I think most of you have been at those meetings. I think they're going well. We have one more meeting, is that correct, or two more
Yes,
meetings?
one more.
One more
One more.
meeting. And the next step is to identify our goals, so we'll be doing that.
Yeah, I would like to comment also on that.
Sure.
That's actually been a great experience, I think, for everybody that's been involved. It's been very engaging, and the fact that we now have a philosophy, a vision, and a mission that seems like most people had agreed upon, they accepted it. It'll be interesting to see goals that ultimately objectives that will be very measurable, so it's a good blueprint, a good roadmap for our future, which I think bodes well for us.
Yeah, I think so too, and it gives Matt and I, just from a management standpoint, that kind of litmus test of what we need to do as we go through the next couple of
Right.
years implementing.
And I would be remiss if I also didn't call out Vice Chairperson Mark Gio. He's doing a nice job actually leading the process for us.
Yeah.
For the sake of the public, we have an internal person who is actually leading, if you will, the discussion and the debate, so it's, we saved some money.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
If I could add to that, oh, I'm sorry, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, I would second, he's done a really good job leading the meetings. I have really 3 quick comments, if I may make. I was hoping he would be here, because he would be able to probably address it. He had some, the process has some pretty strict rules about, you have to attend the sessions in order to be able to participate on a go-forward basis. And a couple of people were excluded from that process. One was Paul Phelan, and another was Betty Ludke, who was the town councilor. And I would like to suggest that we find a way of being able to communicate with them what has gone on. I know Betty has attended the meetings,
Yes.
although she has not commented, but I'd like to make sure that we get some input from them, so that they don't feel like they've been excluded. It's a really tough situation. If you have meetings that have operating rules, you can't waive things for just anybody. But these are people who've had a specific interest in our activities here, and I'd like to make sure they got included. We've had about 30 people roughly that have been participating in this, and I think the invitations to participate went out to a lot more people than that. So I would like to also make sure that when we finish this process, that the mission, vision, philosophy, goals, and objectives get communicated to those people. I think we have a tremendous resource of people that have expressed interest. The participants that have been part of this process have been actively engaged, and I've been quite impressed with what's going on.
It's been very good debate, very good discussion, and I'm sure we'll have that on our website.
I think it's helped all of us.
Yeah.
And this is to Suzanne and the team, who has kept us in snacks and food. And I don't know who else was involved in it besides you. I know Mary has helped you, and Christina has helped you also. But thank you very much, because there's a whole lot of, a lot of logistics to everything that's going on. And keeping us fed at around 6 o'clock, we could be hangry if we didn't have it. So thank you.
Also, Matt did a good
Yes.
job as our stenographer in our group. Every time somebody changed another word, he had to try to erase it.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I'd like to add Felicia Penn to that, because she did request to be able to attend remotely. She wasn't able to attend in person. And at the very least, we could perhaps give her the pamphlet with all the details in it.
We should plan on distributing that widely, especially to the entire town council and to the town administration.
I did have it on our website. Mark had me remove it because it's proprietary information, but we're providing it at public meetings, so I'm not sure how to quite handle that.
What is proprietary information?
His booklet.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant, I thought there's another Mark,
No,
Mark Gio.
Mark
Got it.
Gil.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
So.
okay.
The only other thing that I would add is that we started with 28 members of the planning group for the strategic plan, and we have a good cross-section from people that work at the airport, use the airport, and neighbors. And that's important because we've included Chris. It really is on the group to represent Yarmouth, of course, but there's also the Hyannis Civic Association, that's part of that, representation there. The Hyannis Civic Association is also represented there, as well as some others. So it's good that we have our neighbors that are part of the process.
And just so we're clear, I'm clear, I'm not suggesting we put the booklet that's actually we're using as sort of a text. I'm talking about ultimately when the finished product is done. You know,
Yes.
so that when we sign off on it, that's what
Yes.
I'm referencing, should be on the website.
Yep, exactly. So we already have a website page for the
Right.
strategic plan. What comes out of that will be added to that page.
And we should announce that as
Yes.
widely as possible, so as it has been suggested, the more people who know about it, the more people understand it, the better relationship we'll have with the entire community as well as contiguous towns.
That sounds good.
Okay? Other
Airline,
updates?
just really quickly, the airline update, the only reason I'm touching upon this is in October, Pierce Cote will come back to us to present their October reporting, and really what was asked of them is to identify what their social media, their press releases and their notifications and articles and radio interviews that have been done, you know, how does that correlate to the activity that we've seen at the airport? So they're working on that reporting for the October meetings, but they will take a look at what our passenger counts looked like this year versus last year, what the load factors were for the airlines, and then try to make that correlation where they can for that reporting purposes.
As part of their presentation next month, I assume that they will be answering the questions that were asked of them at
Yes,
the,
yes, that won't be part, that'll be separate agenda item,
okay?
so there'll
But
be
they'll
two
be prepared
agenda
to
items.
do that.
Yes,
Can I ask a question? I know
Yes.
that American and JetBlue left September 3rd. Was that their intended date of leaving, or were they?
yes,
It was,
Yes.
okay. It was never gonna be later than that?
no, that was their
Okay.
intended date.
Okay.
We were discussing before the meeting began, perhaps there's a way that we can get American or JetBlue maybe to come once a week, even though they were flying every day, you know, over the course of the past few months, just one day a week
Right.
that
Less
people
than
wanna go to
daily.
New York, and they want to go get to DC, to get to the rest of the world. It would
Yes.
be maybe something that they would consider,
Yes, and we've
especially in
been,
the winter when the snowbirds
I
have
think
to go
each
south.
conversation that we have with them, we talk about a less than daily service in the wintertime. We'll see how they warm up to it, but we ask every time, so.
Keep asking.
I will.
I keep getting asked, when is it gonna be a winter service?
No problem. The only thing I have on electric aviation, we're still waiting for a beta to review the lease that I provided to them for their charging station that they wanna put on the east ramp. I know that Archer has an event that's this week in Washington DC, and actually Vice Chair Guido will be there for that. WS Development, all I asked is that you take a look to see how they're redeveloping that space. It looks like October 15th, Whole Foods will open up in the new plaza, which will be good. So just keep your eyes out for that and some press releases on that.
Do we know the buildings that are being renovated, what's going to go in those, or?
So right now, we have just the Whole Foods that I
Right.
know of, they don't have a tenant yet for the restaurant. And some of the other spaces, they're working through potential tenancy, but they don't have anything that they're revealing to us yet.
Okay, thank you.
Chris, can you give a very brief update of HVAC, just, we put it out to bid and where we are?
Thanks, Katie. So the HVAC project for the tower went out for bid, both filed sub-bidders and for a general contractor. We received a good amount of bids. However, we got the GC bid, it came in well over budget. So we're going to put that, maybe do some rescoping of that project and put it back out for bid. It'd probably be 2 months before we do that, depending on what we rescope. And so we'll give advise on that once we do that. So we got some bids, but not enough to fit the budget that we have for that. So any questions on the HVAC?
How far over was the proposals based on our budget?
700,000 roughly.
700,000
Substantial.
over?
Yeah.
Wow.
And what's our budget for that?
We had just over 2 million for that.
And that's our money or federal money being?
That's federal
much?
money, it's through the bill grant from the FAA. So there would be a matching share to that as well.
Matching share for us?
For us, 5%
Was
matching
the
share.
5%?
But still, a 700,000 over budget
That's
is significant.
substantial.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
I'm just, so when you rescope the project, you're gonna have to leave a lot out, I guess.
We're looking at 2 add
I
alternates.
mean, we won't leave out air conditioning, go to fans or anything.
No, all natural. I don't think the controllers would like that.
No, coming in, the rescoping, and then we did only get one GC bid, so hopefully get more bids. Competition there may bring the numbers down.
And we're thinking of adding 2 add alternates possibly, and we'll go into the details because we have to put this out to bid.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. The environmental review, that should say review, not assessment, that has gone through the process. We have set the review date from the typical 30 days for public comment. We extended that to 60 days for public comment, just to give the public more time to digest the documentation that is made available through the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act's office. They will post the documents that they can start reviewing. But again, we provided for 60 days, so we probably won't hear back from the FAA until after that closes and what their final determination is on the projects that are part of that opening process.
So what's the formal date now?
I'll have to get back to you on that,
Okay.
so I'll email you, Chris.
The response date?
Yes, I'll email you with the response date. PFAS, we're planning for a November meeting with the Barnstable Fire Training Academy, so that public has one location to go to for a meeting. We've talked to Barnstable Fire Training Academy about coordinating on where those meetings would occur. So one at the airport, a separate one with Barnstable Fire Training Academy, where both the airport and Barnstable Fire can present to the public in one general location about how we're responding to PFAS cleanup. So I'll have more on that once a date is selected. Upcoming events this Wednesday, the Cape Cod Young Professionals Bash, so tomorrow night. I know that we've heard from the commissioners that want to attend that. If there are any other commissioners that have not identified that they want to attend, please let us know because it starts tomorrow for the event. You should have received, for those that want to attend, you should have received your QR code from the Cape Cod Young Professionals. It was an email that they sent you.
I just got a copy of the email telling me to proceed to the gate. I didn't see the QR code.
Yeah, it was pretty big. It was a pretty big QR
Okay.
code. It takes up almost all of your screen, so double check your emails.
Okay.
Full-scale emergency exercise, do you want to give a little bit on that?
Sure, so a week from Thursday, a full-scale exercise. We are still looking for victim actor volunteers, so if you know anyone that likes to get made up, there'll be, we'll have a professional moulage applier who will make them look as if they've been through a very traumatic experience. So we do need actors, so anyone interested in doing that. And for students, we are able to provide a letter for community service hours for that, so if you know any students. But we're on track and everything is coming together for our kickoff, 4:30 on the 26th. We'll have our briefing, so arrival is between 4 and 4:30. I sent to the commission last week the details for that, and we'll run through our exercise. We have a very good turnout. I expect that we'll have a majority of the communities on Cape Cod are sending responders to participate with us, so we should have an excellent turnout.
Thank you, Matt. And Matt, I have to say, Matt, Chris, our team, they've all been working extremely hard to get ready for this full-scale exercise. Very proud of them, how they, you know Matt's organizational skills. There's not a checklist that he doesn't have. But it makes for a much easier transition into an event like this. And, you know, there will be things that happen, I'm sure, but not much because he's very prepared. So kudos to Matt and the team for
Will there
putting this together.
will there be media coverage?
Yes, so I spoke to Pierce Cote today. We will have media that will be joining me on a bus from about 5:15 to 6 o'clock when I need to go over to command. They will be able to take pictures, ask questions. We'll go to each station so that they have full coverage of the event as it's folding out, as it's unfolding. For the Aviation Career Fair, we don't have as many exhibitors that are signed up yet, which is unfortunate. Typically I have about 40 to 45 that sign up. We have 20 presently at this time. 2 have pulled out. over the past couple of weeks. We spread our net a little bit wider for the schools. We have a lot of schools that we sent out an invitation to. We have radio advertisements that are occurring this week. So you might hear that on local radio to have the schools sign up. But right now we only have 5 schools that are signed up. So I'm hoping that that expands a little bit more.
Katie, is that the reason that we've lost 50% of the exhibitors, not enough participants?
I don't think that's necessarily the case because year after year, this is our 4th year, and we've usually have seen the same folks come back every year. There are some aviation events that are occurring that same week. National Business Aviation Association has their annual conference. So I think we're not seeing some of that activity because of that from our exhibitors. Because some of our exhibitors are consultants that typically go to those trade shows.
I see.
Yeah.
So perhaps when we do that again, we should look at the calendar.
It's hard
So
for
we can be-
October because September and October are hard because there seems to be a lot of aviation trade shows within those months. And then to work within the school schedules that they need, this is typically STEM week for the schools, which their students are going to a lot of outside activities outside of the school. So we'll check into it, but this will be the first year that we don't have as robust of a presence from our exhibitors.
June is always another great month for schools to be on field trips.
Not necessarily good for
Yeah.
doing it in the terminal here though. So that's why we look at October, because by that point, the airlines, the seasonal airlines have stopped. So we have some more flexibility within the terminal. If we get less than daily service through the winter, then we might have to rethink our location, which is fine. Caden Fortes, Bridgewater. Barnstable High School student started his internship today. He's a senior at Barnstable High School. He came and met the staff today. Chris took him out on a quick airfield tour this afternoon for me. I went over his schedule with him. He met Matt, he met the admin staff. He's interested in becoming a pilot, so we're put together his schedule. Right now I have his schedule set up. He's with us 3 days a week for about 2 hours each day. I have his schedule set up through the 27th of January where he's interacting with different tenants on the airfield. He is going to go through a mini ground school with Matt, 12 sessions. So we're really gearing him towards getting himself ready for that aviation pilot training that he will need. Within his schedule, we have time for him to start seeking grants through aviation, different aviation entities that provide grants for pilots. We also have him doing essays for us where he takes a body of knowledge on a particular topic and then he has to present to airport management about that. But he seems really excited to go forward and start working at the airport.
Just a couple of quick questions. Is there ever more than one student that applies, or
Yes.
then you go through, but we can only accommodate one?
We can. So based on our schedules, it really we've had in the past, we've had 3 at one point in time is too much.
Mm-hmm.
Having one student is really all, we can dedicate the time that we need to that one student. So this year, we had them go through a interview process. We only had one student apply within the time frame. We gave them, we put the information out there at the beginning of the year. It was only available to students that were going to be seniors. And they had like 6 months to get the application back into us. And we had only one, Caden, that got it back into us within the time frame. Others submitted after that, but we had already picked Caden at that point in time. So we do try to make it competitive. The other students that came to us, we're trying to see if there's some coordination that we can make with Cape Air. Those other students want to be pilots as well. So trying to coordinate with Cape Air to see if they can take them on as interns.
Just seems like an absolutely incredible opportunity for a young man or woman to be able to access, the professionalism that's exhibited here, to be able to participate in so many different aspects of aviation.
Yeah.
It's really, I don't know of any other school, any other airport that does something like that. It's just it's an incredible community opportunity for somebody.
Yeah.
And it's something that should be well documented, and speaking of public relations, something that should be a great PR piece on that with photos of the student, interviews, that should be on the front page of everything.
Caden will be in our newsletter for the December newsletter. He will be featured in that. But I agree with you, just identifying more of that outreach. And that's what makes me excited about having these young
Sure.
students that come and have an interest in aviation, because they have an opportunity in their backyard.
Right.
And that is so much easier for them to go from high school, drive, a short distance to be able to learn what they need to learn for the
But
industry.
that's a personal interest story that every local newspaper on Cape Cod, the Chronicle, the Times, the Independent down in P-Town. I mean, that's a real personal interest story, to the point even, the Globe and the Herald. I constantly read personal interest stories from different parts of the state, some out of state. This is a local kind of opportunity that we should exploit in terms of letting people know that it's available. Because it's an incredible opportunity for a very fortunate young man.
Yep.
A woman, whomever comes in.
Yep, I agree.
Katie, out of curiosity, how are they selected? Is there a competition or?
So they have to provide us with information in an essay as to why they want to get involved in an internship at the airport, why it is that they feel that they are appropriate for this position. We have about 5 questions that we ask them that have to be answered within that essay. And then we review that and we have an interview with them after that to ask them more detailed questions to make sure they're a good fit.
How many applicants did we have?
Only one applicant in the time frame that we gave them a 6-month period to get back to us.
Ooh.
We only had one at that point. I sent it to all of our teachers that come to the career fair. So all of the teachers got that application format to be able to give to their students. Only one applied within the time frame, but then 2 other students applied after that, and we had already made our decision. So.
I'm sure the Aero Club can get a couple of rides for them too, so.
That is actually a question I have, because I have a section on my schedule that I would like to do a pre-flight, have him go through a pre-flight check with one of the pilots here, and I think that would be helpful to him, make sure he's comfortable with that, and, make sure that, yes, I do want to be a pilot, solidify that.
So I might be able to get somebody like John Krug to,
Okay,
who's one of our members, and he's also an instructor extraordinaire. Maybe get him an hour in the airplane, one of the airplanes, and get his logbook started and all that other stuff. So.
yeah, that'll be good. Sue has been working on, I put together the schedule and his agenda, and then Sue is working on just connecting with our tenants to make sure that those dates work with them. So Sue, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to Norm to get those contacts and maybe putting it in one of those slots that's available. Okay, thanks. That's all I have, unless you think I'm forgetting.
Okay, moving on then to item number 11, announcements. Any comments from any of my fellow commissioners? I was going to comment on strategic planning, but I think we've already covered that in depth. So item number 12, which is matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I don't have any. Does anyone else have any? Not hearing any. We'll go right to number 13, which is adjournment. Before that, we'll announce our next meeting, October 15th, 2024 at 4 p.m. Same place, same station. And also note that prior to the October 15th meeting, as I mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, our subcommittees will have been meeting and vetting any issues in finance, infrastructure, or marketing that come before us as a full committee. So I want folks to know the amount of time and effort and energy that the commission has put into trying to be as best policy advocates in setting standards that we can. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 4:50. I think that's a record.
Fastest commission.